Okay, so just, obviously really pleased with the effort of our team tonight and really proud of how the guys played. Just looking backwards, thought the guys really handled the bye week extremely well. And then when we got back to work getting ready for this ball game, I thought the week of preparation went really well too. So happy about that. And then most importantly, the guys showed up at kickoff ready to play and thought we played really hard. It wasn't perfect, but the guys played really hard and made some things happen. So, good to see the takeaways. We haven't had an abundance of those this year, and got a couple tonight. And then, most importantly, made the takeaways, turn into points, convert them into points. So I thought we played good opportunistic football and good team football on top of it. Second half, good example, getting the stop, 3 and out, and taking the ball. I think we drove it about 60 yards to get another touchdown. So, just an awful lot of positive things out there that saw from our guys. Most of it just stems from their effort and them being together. And certainly things we're going to have to keep working on. But it's a lot easier to do it after a win, certainly. And just, overall, just really pleased. So that being said, I'll throw it out for questions.
You expressed that there's maybe some doubt in your mind last week that Mark was going to be able to play. Can you give a timeline and when your confidence level rose to the point where you thought he was going to be able to play today?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago for sure. A lot of concern. And then after the imaging, as I said Tuesday, after the imaging, at least we got a green light there. So I think, two things. It's a real credit just to his determination. He's a really strong-willed guy. And then beyond that, the medical staff did a wonderful job. He camped out in there all week long, 2 weeks basically. So when he showed up Monday at practice, I was kind of surprised, quite frankly. And he just jumped in there and didn't look great, but didn't look bad. And then as the week went on, 2 things. He got better, plus there was no swelling or no soreness afterwards. So it was all encouraging. And up until his last run, things were looking pretty good tonight. I think my heart was in my throat on that one. But he survived it, and we'll move on. So it's all good.
Sometimes after a tough loss, it can linger, and then you have a bye week, so they can't get back on the field, I guess. What did you see from the team in the bye week to kind of keep them chomping at the bit? Because it just seems like, was it maturity? Was it just guys understanding the bigger picture, or how would you kind of evaluate that?
Yeah, again, I just go back to our leadership, and I think I've been consistent saying this group since January has really been great to work with. We haven't been great enough to be undefeated, but they've on the field, but they've been really good to work with. And considering some of the leadership, some really dynamic leaders have graduated in the last 3 years, and for this group to do things the way they've been doing is pretty impressive. So, I give them the credit. They've done a great job there. And one thing, we just try to make sure our guys understand it's easier said than done, but this thing is week to week. Everything we do is week to week. And, so if it doesn't go your way, which it certainly didn't 2 weeks ago, it was a really disappointing, tough loss. But you got to bury it, You live with it for a day, and then you got to bury it, and you got to start looking forward. And if you don't, you're wasting time. So I think our guys have done a good job absorbing that, and we're going to have to do it again tomorrow too. We'll look at this tape and enjoy it, but we got to get our sights turned again.
You said after the Indiana game that you thought that this was a good team.
I thought they were too. I guess they are. Yeah, confirmed. Yeah.
At the halfway point of the season, and I'm not talking about wins and losses, but what are the possibilities for these guys?
We'll see. It's week to week, like I just said, and we'll see. And it's the good thing right now is 2 best things I think are that our attitude's good, and the guys have done a good job of handling the highs and lows thus far. And then the rest of the story is that we've got things we can get better at. Our passing game's hardly sharp, but I think that's probably a byproduct of Mark missing some time and being a little bit limited in the work that he got. But I'm encouraged that can get better. Getting Van der Zee back helps us, and seeing the younger guys continue to improve, and then our veteran guys like Gil and Sam are they're doing a good job. So I think we still can get a lot better, and that's feel the same way about our defense. There's some things my defensive mentality must have come through because I felt like they had 200 yards rushing at halftime. The stats weren't that bad, but it just felt that way, the way the game was going. So, the guys are doing a lot of good things, but we can get better.
When the game started, we saw the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. Do you you remember many other times where somebody's come out and tried to disrupt the swarm?
No, that's the first, I think. Yeah, and I didn't see it happen. I just heard, they came over and said they got a flag. So, yeah, it was okay. But yeah, that's unusual.
What do you feel like makes this offensive line so effective?
We've got 3 seniors that are pretty good. And think about a year ago, I mean, we got those 3 guys plus 2 guys playing in the NFL right now. And I think it's illustrative of kind of the way things have gone the last couple of years. We had to play some guys. Colby's a guy I always go back to. I mean, we threw him in there before he was ready. And no different than Alan Reisner in 07. I still remember him going out on the field against Illinois. And I'm thinking, oh, my God, we're going to get thrown in jail for child abuse. So sometimes you get in that situation. We had some injuries, some guys that, couldn't play. Would have been nice if Joe Alt came to Iowa instead of, veering off to Notre Dame at the end. So sometimes, you deal with the circumstances, but the guys push through it. I just cite those 2 guys last year. Because last year they had a lot of fun playing, but that's experience and being a little bit more veteran. I think the 3 older guys are doing that. And then, the way it's supposed to work, you see Pieper and Log doing a nice job, and Doetzler too. But, a year ago or 2 years ago, you wouldn't have seen that. You wouldn't have predicted that. But that's just – so hopefully we can stay in a rhythm where, we're not stepping on landmines and crazy things are happening. But it's just, it's experience, confidence, and then younger guys playing with older guys helps too.
So you mentioned the turnovers. I mean,
Yeah.
did you think they'd come along from interceptions to 2 defensive linemen?
No, yeah, to answer that, that's an easy no. Yeah, no, you couldn't predict that, but it was awesome. And one off the tip ball. Tip balls are a good thing for defenses, bad things for offenses.
Did you think Aaron was in?
Yeah, it turned out not to matter, but yeah, I mean, you got to give a guy his size, you got to give him the benefit of the doubt, don't you? I mean, that's a Kodak moment.
Based on what we saw, fair to say that Heklinski would have started if Gronowski couldn't go, and kind of what led him to be that.
Just the way he's practiced. It's the same in every position. Whoever's going, that's how you make the depth chart basically. What our guys do in practice, unless they're actually playing in the games, which he hasn't. So, but before we started any discussions on that, it's really close. I mean, Hank's done a really good job. Yeah, and I think the bigger picture is like we feel like we have a healthy room now, pardon the pun, as opposed to just talking about the offensive line. A couple of years ago, we had that same issue that they're, it's challenging them right now. Is it's hard when you don't have a quarterback that's been around and been in your system, or at least has played a lot. And so I mean, it's going to be ongoing, the competition. And the good thing is that, like, we like what we've seen Hank since January, and then Heck since technically August. Just like the way those guys operate.
What was the moment where you felt like your team really kind of had everything snowballing in your favor?
The takeaways, obviously, once that started going a little bit, but you never feel too comfortable, quite frankly, until, when it got to 37, then, I felt pretty good there. But it's just hard. It's hard to relax.
A couple more. Okay.
Okay, that's easy. Safe drive home. Thank you.